streaming link is just getting updated right now if you want.
And welcome to National Festival Rugby action here, day 2 from Vancouver, British Columbia and UBC Fields. And we've got BC2 taking on New Brunswick in an exciting contest where New Brunswick has come from being down 7-0 to scoring a try to knock this game up at 7-all. And now British Columbia with the chance at a penalty here. And will they take that opportunity, or are they going to opt to go for the corner? Looks like they like their chances with a rolling maul off the line out. Doug Cross with you here this morning. Beautiful second day here as we get underway. Taking a quick look at the lineups for New Brunswick in the front row, Bryce Worden, Ron Lelina, and Adam Thompson. In the second row, Stephen Chang and Morgan Mercier. Back row made up of Andrew Davidson, Mike Bettle, and Brandon Howe. Chris McHugh is the scrum half with fly half partner Will DuPont. In the centers, Emil Sahik and Anders Blizzard, and Byron Henderson on one wing, Brandon Bryan on the other. And then we've got Eric Duplessis at scrum half. Fullback. Braden Williams in the front row for BC2. Jackson Lockyer as we see the second try by British Columbia. And that brings them up to 12-7. Still the kick to come. So clearly, British Columbia 2, one of 2 teams in this U18 men's division this in this tournament, and the spoils are ridiculous, the amount of talent that British Columbia's got. But I'll tell you what, don't write off New Brunswick. They under 16 team yesterday put on a huge effort against Ontario 1, lost, but very physical bunch, and I think they have the ability to wear them down. And I see some names in this team as we go down the line. Aidan Kirkpatrick in the front row, Nick Allen and Mike Henderson in the second row. Regan O'Gorman is one flanker and Nakai Penny is the other. And then Charlie McDonald is the number 8. Matt Gallagher and Wes Wong, the halfback partnership. Gallagher at scrum half. In the center is Robert Welch and Dom Haynes. And then Jack Nyron on one wing and Joe Carter on the other. And Nick Collette is the fullback. That kick has gone across to push BC to 14-0 so far in this contest. 1 hour games here today in the U18 division. 2 30-minute halves. And, looking at the weather forecast for this week, the weather people in Vancouver do not have much to do. They just look out into the Pacific and find out that there's no trouble coming for a few days, and they can pretty much relax. And people are just definitely soaking up the sun from across the country out here. Just gorgeous out here in Vancouver. The restart from number 25, Emil Sahik. Cleanly taken by British Columbia. A chip through by British Columbia. That's gathered in by number 22, Eric Duplessis. So don't follow the number charts here for New Brunswick. They're, each got their assigned number, and that's not necessarily positional. So New Brunswick on the front foot here. Look at the powerful counter-rucking going on. They've spun that ball back, a bit of a miscue. That goes to 25, Emil Sahik. So physically, New Brunswick matching up to this BC2 team, but the hard tackles being put in by BC and really getting up on first up on the quick tap ball now. Oh, nice shimmy step by Anders Blizzard. The Blizzard name well known in New Brunswick rugby. Now the referee blowing his whistle and maybe pulling his hand out for a card. No, oh no, we're just calling the simple scrum, but there's a conversation going on. Oh, I was right. Yeah, it's number 5 for British Columbia. Mike Henderson is being sent off here for 10 minutes. I don't believe, the bin is not modified even though it's a 1-hour game. I still think they get a 10-minute sin bin. So New Brunswick will try and make some hay in all this BC sunshine, having a man advantage. Will they be able to, make it count out wide with the second row going off? Maybe not so much, so maybe the battle's got to be in the forwards, but certainly they're pounding up the middle with some intent here. Spinning it. Oh, and a spilled ball there just as he got to the line. Mike Bettel, the captain, spilled that ball, and now BC on the counterattack from their own end. Pretty brave move. Good offload. That goes to ground just before going into touch. So BC still trying to retain that ball, and great rucking. Well, it's a bit of a maul now. It's a ruck, and now the whistle, and not rolling away from the breakdown. Odd that BC had the possession. So I think a few people are curious about that. New Brunswick certainly wasn't in possession of that ball, yet the penalty goes against BC. So kick to the corner by Chris McHugh. And so they'll have a great platform to start from. About, 22 meters out exactly is where the touch judge has marked this. Throw will be done by Ron Lelina. He's got some nice tall targets there. A couple of the forwards, I think, have come out of the line to make it just a slightly modified line out here, just one man shorter. Sometimes just to make sure the other team's paying attention, and you can put some gadget moves in as well. And that's exactly what that was, a gadget move to Bryce Warden, and he's just peeled right through the cover there. And they probably had to match up because BC didn't have the numbers either, as the captain comes pounding through Mike Bettel. And New Brunswick really threatening to score their second try of the morning here, just a meter out. Now, patience. Oh, see, now it's happened again. White line fever, and that ball goes to ground. And disappointment for New Brunswick. All that hard work washed away with a knock-on. It's going to be a scrum, however, to British Columbia 2. And with the man advantage in the scrum, someone's going to have to drop off there. The ability to put some pressure on the clearance kick that will be coming out of this is certainly high. You'll be able to push that scrum back and then break off, and Bettel, the captain, certainly looks like the type of flanker that would come flying through there like a missile. So New Brunswick scrumming down, and so they've dropped their number 8 to match up numbers, it looks like. Oh no, the number 8 might still be in there. So the clearance kick, net result, New Brunswick with still good position. So it'll be Lelina throwing in. Great first. BC has stolen that ball. Great job by the flanker there, Regan O'Gorman. Spinning that ball right now. Boy, BC staying on their feet, making good inroads. Remember, they're down a man as Mike Henderson is cooling his heels for another 6 or so minutes. Ill-advised chip kick over the top. New Brunswick's come away with it on the advantage. The knock on, but the advantage over now. Great release pass by Emil Sahik. Now another spin pass. Oh, shoelace tackle. That was knocked on, unfortunately. Great effort there by the fly half, Wes Wong, to get to that ball, but just was a little too far for him to get to. So it'll be scrum for New Brunswick. And, you know, New Brunswick should be playing like there's only a few minutes left in this game, because it's not often you're handed a gift of having a man advantage against a team like BC2. So what can New Brunswick do here? Remember, they're operating without a number 8, just like BC is in the scrummaging laws. You know, you got to match up the numbers, at least in junior rugby. And now big counter by BC, and that ball stripped and knocked on. And but determined that the scrum half left early, Matt Gallagher, guilty of. Now he's reversed the call, and interesting that would be another offside so quickly from that play. Wes Wong now with the ball in hand. He's gone to ground. New Brunswick stolen that ball. Great job by Chris McHugh, the fly half, distributing that ball well. There he is again to the flanker, Bettel. Now, that ball pinched in open play by BC2, and it's gone into touch. So the score 14-7 for British Columbia 2, but this has not been an easy match for them. They have had to match up with this New Brunswick team, and we've got number 3, Bryce Worden, down. If we can get a shot of him there, Jillian, and the referee's coming over to take a look at him. Thanks to Jillian, our camera person from sportscanada.tv. So the referee making an inquiry whether there'll be a replacement taking place here, or will that player stay in. Looks like may have some issues around his neck. He's laying down there on his stomach in the prone position. So Worden is on his feet, and looks like, can't tell if he's going to stay in the game or not. He doesn't look real steady on his pins just yet, so safety may prevail when you're doing a 5-day tournament. You don't always want to keep your players in, but it looks like he'll be tucking into the front row there after some consideration. So now all New Brunswick need is for BC2 to show up for the scrum. They'll break up their board meeting and get the scrum over there. Tell you, folks, if you're watching this from your office in Vancouver, today's the day to play hooky, and get over to Wolfson Fields, $5, and you can watch some great future rugby stars for Canada as BC2 puts on a backline display here. That's a big break for the British Columbia side. The offload out to the wing. Jack Nyron is just forward, and they had some good things going there. The crowd appreciating that backline move. Went some 45 meters before it came to an end with that forward pass. So just the little mistakes helping New Brunswick out because that looked like a try might be on with a little more pressure being put on by the home team. 4 fields of action, almost 1,000 kids here from across the country, including a tournament within the tournament, an under 14 division for the first time. And they're participating with teams from Washington State and British Columbia and Ontario, and 2 men's and 2 women's divisions, U18 and U16. Clearance kick by New Brunswick gets the job done, and that is halftime. 14-7 is the score for BC1. We're going to take a quick break and reset. More rugby action in just a few minutes. So back for second half action now, as BC2 leads New Brunswick 14-7. Now, just before half, it was a yellow card for second row for BC. Mike Henderson, he'll still be off for a couple more minutes, but New Brunswick hasn't managed to crack the code yet how to take advantage of that one-man deficiency on the BC side. But they'll try very hard, you can imagine, to get back into this. with only 7 points in this contest, you've really got to take advantage of the fact that there is a player out of the lineup. Now I'm just trying to see if Henderson may be almost ready to come back on. In fact, I don't see him sitting in the yellow card chair anymore, so he may have in fact come back on. So asked and answered. They lost their man advantage now. That was a quick 10 minutes as we get set for second half action. New Brunswick and BC2 and U18 men's action here from Wolfson Fields in the beautiful Gerald McGavin Rugby Pavilion. Really been a pleasure to work out of this facility. It was just opened in January here. Speaking with Spence McTavish, who spearheaded this whole thing for the UBC Thunderbirds rugby program. So high restart, and that's gone right into touch. So not the start New Brunswick wanted. They'll have scrum back at center. And last thing you want to do is hand a set piece to a team like BC at midfield, because they're going to split their back lines, and they'll definitely have some gadget plays organized for just such an occurrence. Perhaps expect even ball in hand and then a deep kick, depending on how the fullback comes up for New Brunswick. If they feel like no one's home defensively, they'll put some of their speed men down one wing or the other and try and put some pressure on that way. So now, a bit of discussion going on, and BC having a meeting, and not sure what's happening here. So we were going to have a scrum center. Now there seems to be some controversy as whether maybe that player should have come back on. Number 17 for British Columbia 2, Nolan Howell, is coming off the field. So perhaps they had too many players. There was confusion in the substitutions. I don't see number 5, Mike Henderson, though. Not all the players' numbers are visible. And now, after some consultation, the referee came from the scoring table, and I guess we won't know what the controversy was, but it did look like perhaps BC had an extra player on there. Now I do see, I think, is it Henderson sitting in the, so he may still be on there, and he's just wearing a yellow penny to designate that he is a yellow card player. So BC is still shorthanded. Good scrum nonetheless, but it is a 7-on-7 scrum. Just as predicted, a high ball tester, and it gets the result that BC wanted as a bobbled ball back there, putting New Brunswick under pressure inside their own 22 now. New Brunswick's absorbing that pressure for now, but they could be in trouble here with BC2 only about 10 meters out. Spin ball left. That's to the second row, Nick Allen. He's brought down. Now going back to the right. And has BC2 gone across? Yes, they have. Looks like number 16, Brendan Kennedy scored that try. And so that will increase the lead for British Columbia to 19-7 with the conversion kick to come. So pretty straight on kick here for Wes Wong. Sets that up like you could make a nice trophy out of that type of presentation on the tee there. Quick kicker of Wong's ability. This is a sitter for sure. Should be an automatic 2. Flags are up. No disappointment there. BC2 taking a 21-7 lead now. Temperatures expected to top 25, 26 degrees here. No humidity is the saving grace. However, long day for the athletes out here. Some teams are playing 2 games a day, like in the under 16 division. But it's still baking out in the sun takes its toll. That restart didn't go straight into touch, so they'll take the line out from just outside the 22. Organized a big umbrella for our work area here. We've got to work around it a little too, but the sun was just blazing on our position yesterday. Great line out. Spin pass by the replacement scrum half, Gavin Rowell. Forward pass, hands a gift here to New Brunswick. Now they're going to get a scrum. Dead center, about 15 meters up from the line. Important thing here for New Brunswick is not to try and take this all off in one big bite. They'll have to be patient and work towards the goal line. I don't think the BC2 back line, you're not going to outpace these guys. You've got to outwork them in the loose. BC2 back to even strength with the return of Mike Henderson. And now penalty should be a quick, and agonizingly, the penalty was knocked on, the quick tap penalty by New Brunswick. So opportunity lost for the East Coast gang. So it'll be a scrum for BC2. This game has got a very leisurely pace. There seems to be no sense of urgency here. Everyone's just sort of taking their time, getting settled into the front rows and the second rows. But 2 8-man scrums on display now after the yellow card against Henderson. So New Brunswick took that one against the head, but the referee blows his whistle. So, boy, that's got to be frustrating. Not often you're going to be able to pinch one like that, and they'll redo this. So keep an eye on the Rugby Canada website as we see a couple of New Brunswick players coming on. They're making some changes, and that's going to be number 6, Andrew Davidson. His older brother plays on, or younger brother plays on the U16 team for New Brunswick, I believe, Nick Davidson. And we're seeing number 27, Stephen Chang, going off. Started to say, watch the Rugby Canada website for announcement of the World Cup squad that will be taking on the USA in a home and away series. Brian Kelly getting ready to put that up on the website shortly, and there'll be some nice names for fans of the Canadian team as that ball goes to ground off the fingers of Gavin Rowell and taken with the advantage being played. My goodness, number 27, Stephen, I thought Stephen Chang went off there, maybe it was 17 I was looking at, was getting tackled well by Regan O'Gorman. He is certainly a big package to deal with. Also, congratulations to the Canadian women's team who have booked their spot into the Nations Cup final in Colorado after England gave them a favor and beat the United States. Very complicated round-robin format, but basically the math had to work out on that final game in order to see Canada into the final. They'll take on England, and that's a team they already beat earlier in the tournament. So Francois Ratier, first-year coach, making those Canadian women just purr along and doing very well in their first action in a couple of years. Now, indirect penalty against BC2. The quick tap taken carefully this time by number 12, Brandon Howe, sorry. And they've come away with it. from the Mall situation. That's Charles Doak, but they're losing a lot of ground. That ball was stolen by BC. Advantage being played. Big tackles being put in and just driving New Brunswick back a couple of meters with every touch of the ball. It's going to be a knock-on and scrum to New Brunswick, but New Brunswick's really got to take care of this ball. I think they're struggling by just making little errors that knock down their forward momentum. So number 10 for New Brunswick is the scrum half in this instance, Chris McHugh. As I said, don't really count on the numbers for classical rugby positioning. Everyone's holding on to their jersey for the tournament. McHugh with the ball in. Big push by BC2, but New Brunswick maintaining possession. Now McHugh at the bottom. Oh, and he just got snagged from the weeds there by number 20 for British Columbia, Gavin Rowell. And now BC has stolen that. So some heads-up play by the opposition scrum half as big number 6 O'Gorman goes to ground. Rowell, great service to his number 8, Charlie McDonald. Now a bit of a panic clearance kick by BC2. Puts that ball in behind the cover. Eric Duplessis trying to get his hand on it, but now it's a penalty back from the point of the kick. An offside, so advantage being played at that point. So probably the heads-up play to see if something might have come from that kick. It didn't, and so it'll be a penalty situation back inside BC territory. Another New Brunswick player down. Looks like he'll be leaving the field. That's number 12. That's Brandon Howe. He's leaving the field, and we'll see who comes on in his place. Some more rugby action coming up here at 10:30, Quebec versus Newfoundland. And that is in the U18 women's division as New Brunswick receives that kick. BC didn't find touch. Now a bit of a no-look pass, but has some good effect there. Boy, the tackles are just monstrous from BC2. And now they've stolen the ball. New Brunswick has counter-rucked to get that ball back, and that's almost unplayable. But no, New Brunswick has come away with it, has to shove the referee out of the way, and that's number 7, Mike Bettle, the captain. And he is, a hard-working flanker. So right at midfield, that ball's gone loose, immediately pinched by Wes Wong. Ball going the other way. Is a try on here for BC2. Good cover tackling by New Brunswick. Working hard to dig that ball out now. And New Brunswick just about left early. And now BC just a couple of meters out. Finally, New Brunswick uses the touch line to effect and pushes BC player out, and now it'll be a line out for New Brunswick, but boy, they're going to be under some pressure here. Their clearance kick has got to be spot on, and when you're in so tight and close to the line, sometimes that ball doesn't find touch unless you've got a left-footed kicker back there, and I haven't picked up whether or not McHugh or DuPont have got the left-footed kicking going on there. And that's stolen by BC2, driving over the line. That might be a try, and it is. And that's probably number 4, Nick Allen, the first jumper in that position. So Nick Allen with the try for British Columbia. Pushes the score to 26-7. And at 14-7, this game was in sight for New Brunswick. But at 21-7 and 13 minutes gone, they'll have to score the next points if they want to stay in this game. But right now, BC2 seems to be on the ascendancy. This will be a long kick for Wes Wong from just a meter inside the far touchline. He's a right-footed kicker, however, so it's set up right for him in terms of the natural curve that a kicker gets. He's a come-around kicker as opposed to straight-on kicker. Had plenty of leg for the other conversions he's taken. He is 3 for 3 so far. Well struck, and look at that curling around. Referees are happy. Flag goes up. 28-0. So BC2 playing some flawless rugby so far this morning. New Brunswick now has to up the ante, and I think they have the physical assets. They just maybe have to work a little harder and take advantage of the psychological thing that might be going on in BC2's head that this game is safe. We can sit on this lead a little bit. If they can play that game a little bit and outwork BC2 around the edges, they might be able to claw their way back here. Working it hard, BC2, very patient, superb spin pass by the scrum half Gallagher. And doesn't look like the BC boys have punched out on the work clock yet. Penalty, they're hoping for a quick tap, and then they thought better of it. New Brunswick's retreated 10 meters. The kick to touch successful. Gets BC2 inside New Brunswick's half to the 10-meter line from center. Started to give you the schedule at noon on this field. Ontario 1 versus BC2 looks to be a great U16 men's matchup. And then more under 18 women's action. Ontario versus Manitoba at 1:30, and Saskatchewan versus Ontario 3, and that is under 18 men, and that will be the final game of the day on field 1. Sprawling complex here as the throw-in was not straight. Sprawling complex here at UBC Wolfson Fields. Just, all kinds of potential plans were made. Could we stream from every field? We got the internet problem sorted out, but we needed to build structures and power and find announcers. And, finally the conclusion was made, let's try and cycle as many teams through on field 1. And, finals day will feature some of the other teams. But it's been great to bring more live action over the years. I've brought you a lot of festival rugby action as we see BC2 pouring on the pressure here inside New Brunswick's half. Rowell trying to get to that ball. Now he finds it. Spins out wide to a second row Nick Allen, and Allen's going to be in for his second try, or is he? Flag doesn't go up. So that was the New Brunswick defender who knocked that corner flag out. So Nick Allen with his second try of this game, and now the score is starting to balloon a little bit on New Brunswick. So will Wong keep his kicking record intact here? He hasn't missed one yet. This will be a bit of a tougher ask. It is right on the touchline on the right-hand side for a right-footed kicker. You're putting all the physics against him on this type of kick, but he looks like he knows the angles, and probably like a Tiger Woods knows how to slice or pull or fade or whatever he needs to do on a given kick. Brian Kelly hopefully coming up for our next matchup between Quebec and Newfoundland. Wong carefully considering his target. He'll have to really start bringing that around. Oh, that's a superb looking effort, but it's going to go across the front of the posts. So his first miss of the afternoon can be forgiven on a tough kick like that, and it's thankfully for BC2 not a kick that they necessarily need to stay in this game. They've got this one under control. 33-7 the score now, with just about 11 minutes left in this second half. That's a great restart by New Brunswick, driving BC2 back into their own end, and some deft footwork by Nakai Penny. Quick spin pass and reverse pass back inside, keeping that ball moving. Rowell. And into touch. And so now New Brunswick will have the line out. And I talked about this a bit yesterday. The goals of teams change in a tournament like this because now they're going to have to adjust their thinking and say, all right, well, let's get some points back in this and let's stop BC2 from scoring any more points. And we saw a contest yesterday between Nova Scotia and BC1 in the women's division under 18, 97-7. That kind of points against can really hurt you in a tournament like this. You don't notice it the first day, but when you're close to the end of the tournament, you might need some points, and they're gone in that massive account. New Brunswick the throw-in, and that's been stolen by BC2. Again, the counter line-out work has been fantastic by BC2, and that time that was Regan O'Gorman. So he may have scored, actually, if he's in first jumper position, he may have scored a try over in the far corner earlier in the second half. Just weren't able to pick up that number. New Brunswick with a quick spin pass out to Will DuPont. Now knock on, advantage being played. Still advantage being played. BC has a chance here, free play. Nothing coming. Oh, things getting a little touchy off the line as number 3, Bryce Worden, has some things to say. And now it's going to touch off a bit. I think some punches still being thrown. Number 6 for BC2, Regan O'Gorman, getting in there, trying to pull Worden out of there and get him back on his own side. So things getting a bit feisty out here in the early morning heat. And now the referee pulling Worden aside and saying, hey, I'm not having that on my field. Mike Bettle, the captain, listening in on the instructions being offered to the big front row. He'll stay in the game for now, but, the principal knows his name now, and he'll be watching him. So if there's any more problems, he'll be going to detention. Big kick by the scrum half. Look at the high, tight spiral on that. That's just a superb effort by Gavin Rowell to get his team down into New Brunswick half. And that had some force on it. Almost knocked the Trafigura sign out of the ground over on that side. So National Festival Rugby.com is a website where you find all the results from all the different categories, who's doing what in the point scoring race. There's some great information, a Twitter feed there as well to see all the latest results. Hourly, they'll update that Twitter feed to give everyone all the great news if they're not necessarily in front of a computer. Boy, that was a great touch finder across the field. And now there is BC Park just 5 meters out from New Brunswick's line. And that was just picture perfect right to the corner there. And New Brunswick will have to deal with the pressure that comes with being 5 meters from their own line. Devin Moore will throw this in for New Brunswick. He just walks in to get a quiet word on what the signal might be for the jump in. We've just had a change. Looks like they're trying to match up numbers, and a bit of confusion there on New Brunswick and BC's part. Short line out now, and that is just a real questionable call. doing a short line out and then throwing over the top 5 meters from your own line. I mean, BC probably wouldn't expect it, but now you look, you've sealed yourself off to the center of the field trying to get some pressure away from you. All you've done is added more pressure to yourself as we see number 25, Emile Sihik, go to ground. New Brunswick's done well, but BC just waiting for a knock-on or a spilled ball to try and take it back the other way. Bit of a delayed pass, and now immediately up and making the tackle. Now gang tackling going on to number 26 there for New Brunswick, Jeff O. And look, that's the mistake that BC was waiting for. That was Nakai Penny, I think, the flanker who got that, wearing the big head wrap. So that'll push the score to 38 for BC2. So just about 5 minutes left in this game, and the scoreboard keeps ticking over. So here's the kick by Wong. It goes across. Score goes up to an even 40. New Brunswick will restart this. They're playing the game within the game, and that game is to let's score another try now. Knocked on by BC2, so there'll be a line out there. And so that is the start of something for New Brunswick here as they get the scrum inside BC's half. Ball in, but BC2 stealing that. And now immediately spilled, advantage being played. Not enough help, and that New Brunswick player maybe touching that ball a little too long. Flipped over by number 18, Nick Wright from BC2. Advantage still being played for New Brunswick, and they've got a, oh, and just absolutely pile drive. Going into the line, I think that was Bettel, the captain. Must have been a forward pass in that tackle situation. No, ultimately a knock on there, but it wasn't Bettel, and it was number 8 for New Brunswick, and that is Zach Hanley, and he was going full trot into the line and was met with a physics experiment in the form of BC2 forward. So New Brunswick will have another put in here. Aaron Pizzi, scrum half now for New Brunswick. He feeds that ball in. Again, stolen against the head. It's just that second push by the BC2 forwards that's stealing that ball. New Brunswick winning the initial hook, but then getting driven back. Another whistle, and now it's going to be New Brunswick not releasing the tackled player. He actually had the ball. It was Bettel, so maybe not releasing the ball. And so Bettel trying to get a clarification of what it was that he did, and saying, release the ball, I guess. Or it looked like more that was not releasing the tackled player, and he ended up with the ball. Same net result. It's a penalty against New Brunswick. Thank you very much. That went off the side of the boot and into touch. And so not much of a benefit there from that kick. It'll be line out for New Brunswick, still inside BC half. Tight spin pass there. Into the line. Oh, and a big clothesline. There'll have to be a penalty taken for that. And things touching off again. That was a huge clothesline on the BC player by an unidentified New Brunswick player. I think a couple of BC players identified him as they're trying to sort this out. And that could be a yellow card because that was very dangerous above the shoulders. Player doesn't seem to be affected. A lot of times those high tackles are a result of, if someone, so it's a number, it looks like it's going to be number 14 going off for New Brunswick with hardly any time left on the clock. That won't hurt them too bad, but that's Will DuPont who put the high tackle in. The player from BC2 was going into the line and was able to, his feet were off the ground. His feet were planted, and he got tackled like that. Might have been a different result, but a lot of the energy is absorbed by the body flipping out and then just hitting the ground. So looks like no ill effects overall, but it's another penalty for New Brunswick, and they'll play shorthanded for the remainder of this game. Not sure there'll even be enough time to get beyond. And no, indeed, that is full time. And so your final score, 40-7. British Columbia 2 over New Brunswick. So next action at 10:30, we're going to be stopping the feed and putting a new feed up so that we can split these games up a little more efficiently for archive purposes. So we'll be back about 10:25 for the next game, and that's under 18 women's action, Quebec versus Newfoundland. Thanks a lot for watching. Back in a moment.